Look at those things, aren't they beautiful?
They were 20 miles an hour faster than the competition when they came out in 1961 because they were just so fast through the air.
They went on to win the World Championship, but not in the way they expected.
No, that's for sure, because Von Trips died in Monza in a horrible crash and killed 15 spectators at the same time on the way down to Parabolica. Mike Hawthorne nicknamed him Taffy.
Poignantly, I've got a picture of me surrounded by lots of other racing drivers, Bruce McLaren, my dad, and also Taffy Von Trips is in that photograph, but it was taken in 1961 at my christening. I seem to be wearing something like a frilly dress. I was a baby, mind you, but there's Taffy Von Trips, and sadly he wasn't to live longer than a couple of months after that photograph was taken. He was supposed to win it, wasn't he, Taffy?
Yeah, Enzo wanted Taffy to win it,
yeah.
But by being killed in Monza, it guaranteed the winner of Monza, Phil Hill, was the world champion.
The race, as always, goes on. Phil Hill leads the diminished field. Ahead of him lies the prize of prizes, the championship of the world.
I want to hear these cars running, give them a little bit of a thrash on the track.
Let's do it. Come on. I want to find out what this is all about.
There we go. I haven't been around this track since 1983, incredibly. Oh my goodness, the car is so narrow, but it's all right. It's doing roughly what you think it's going to do. Better take it easy till I remember which way the track goes.
This is an experience of a lifetime to actually be sitting here in this dark rose Ferrari. It handles beautifully. It's like a little go-kart. I think I had a dinky toy like this once.
It's quite pointy, the nose goes in quite quickly. It's quite nimble and it's so narrow. It's not much more than half the width of a current Formula One car.
Oh my God, it's beautiful down the engine. You really feel like when the revs start to pick up, it really starts to fly.
But can you imagine doing 170 miles an hour in this 120 degree V6 and a cracking little 6-speed gearbox?
And it really feels like you're flying. What an exciting experience. Well, I wasn't quite prepared for that experience. That was absolutely spectacular. That was wonderful, absolutely beautiful. It looks like a toy, but it's not, because it actually does start to go very fast, very quickly, and makes the most glorious sound. You won't get Martin out of that. He'll be going around all day.
I can't tell you how much respect I have for those gladiators of the day going wheel to wheel at 170 miles an hour. They must have realised every time they headed towards a race, they could well die. They did it for the glory and the honour.
Oh my God.
What did you think of that, champ?
It's just a dream come true. I finally got to drive a Ferrari. I mean, these things are beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
When I was alongside you, I was aching to have a camera with me. It was so iconic. It's such a lovely shot. They handle beautifully, didn't they? So nimble.
They're fabulous. I mean, I'm really, really impressed and quite surprised, actually. I felt like we were going very fast. These things were projectiles that got no downforce, tiny skinny wheels, but they're very light, and that's the secret, isn't it?
Yeah. They gather speed so quickly because it's so aerodynamic and you've not exactly got big fat slick tyres to push through the air either.
But you know what is special is that must be pretty rare to experience being on the track with another one, two Ferrari shark noses on the track together at the same time. And so you could actually, as you say, I could look across and see how beautiful it is. A real treat. I'm delighted to have had this opportunity to drive one and imagine what it was really like for those guys. I mean, they were brave. These things are quick.
Did you say it's not your first ever Ferrari F1 car?
This is my first time in a Formula One Ferrari. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So,
I never realised that.
Yeah. So I've done it. I've finally got there.
Wow, you lucky things. Damien, you look like you'd driven through a hedge when you had that wreath on. Was it as special as it looked?
Absolutely wonderful, yes. And the cars themselves are recreations with original engines and gearboxes, because at the end of the season, to save space in the factory, I also read a story once that there might have been a tax scenario around it, but the cars were scrapped and they just put the engines and gearboxes up on a shelf. And then from drawings and from a myriad of photographs, those two cars were painstakingly recreated, and then we got to chase around Thruxton Circuit with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame, wasn't it? That Enzo, he wasn't very sentimental, was he, about his cars, getting rid of them at the end of the seasons. I wonder, though, I mean, obviously, cars of the 60s, no downforce, like the cars you drove.
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very they're perfect for here because they were slipstream, but they used the banking in those days in 1961, so they actually did this loop where they went past the pits and then they went on the banking loop, and then they came back and then they went on the circuit we're using today virtually, and then they went back on the banking. So you had people on different laps or on the same lap going past the pits. It must be a nightmare to keep the lap charts, but very, very exciting to drive those cars. So.
And it was the first year that it was mandated to have a rollover bar, looked more like a towel rail, didn't it, sort of behind you. So no seat belts at all, no, tiny rollover, no crash protection, surrounded by fuel as usual. You're sitting in the fuel tanks, or your crash structure on either side is a fuel tank. So they were extraordinarily brave people.
Yeah, they were. They were fighter pilots, weren't they, in those days? When you finish eventually one day, you're going to write a book ranking in order. And where do you think you might put the Sharknose, all the cars that you've driven?
Well, I'm nearly up to 60 now. So I couldn't. I just thought it was stunningly beautiful car, and what a sweet little gearbox, and the engine. What a sound the engine made, didn't it?
Yeah, terrific noise. They were like motorcycle engines, weren't they? I mean, they were read beautifully, and a real treat. Thank you very much, Sky, for that.
Yeah, there you go. Lucky things, lucky things. Right, another lucky thing, but he's not really. He's made his own luck, hasn't he, George Russell? Because the big news as we arrived here in Monza that he will be partnering Lewis Hamilton, the Works Mercedes, next year, come 2022. And he spoke to Rachel on Thursday.